Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for week 33 Premier League predictions, and it is the big week. It's Manchester City up against Arsenal, and we have a full 10 games to get through in this video. So please do drop a like on the video, leave your comments with your predictions down in the comments below. I'm a bit short for time, so I'll shout out new members of the channel and everything like that in the next video. But with that all out the way, let's get into these predictions. We did have a decent week last week, correctly predicting 3 perfect scores, so let's hope for more of the same. There were some tricky ones to predict last week as well. Kicking off, first of all, we have Wolves up against Crystal Palace. We correctly predicted that Wolves would lose 2-1 to Leicester, and I actually predicted that Palace would beat Everton 1-0, and it ended 0-0. So I've got a pretty good grasp of how these two teams are going to get on. So I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm fairly confident in that. I think Wolves will be happy with a point at this stage. Palace don't necessarily really need any more points, but I think away from home at Molineux isn't necessarily the place a team like Palace are going to go and get a victory. So 1-1 draw. My tip is under 2.5 goals at 1.61 because last week for Palace against Everton, I was torn between Palace to win as a tip at 2 or under 2.5 goals at 1.6. It ended 0-0. I should have gone for under 2.5 goals. So I'm trying to learn from my sort of mistakes there and go for a 1-1 draw. After that, Aston Villa up against Fulham. Again, Fulham and Aston Villa, two teams I correctly predicted their scores last week. I predicted Aston Villa would draw with Brentford 1-1 and Fulham would beat Leeds 2-1. So this, again, two teams that I feel like I've got a decent little grasp on. Aston Villa absolutely flying in terms of form, only 2 points now behind Tottenham after their terrible performance against Newcastle, and Fulham getting a win over Leeds. I'm going to go for an Aston Villa win here. Aston Villa have got more to play for. They're a better team. They're at home. They're in good form. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Villa, and my tip is Aston Villa to win at 1.74 here. I think the value is there. I think it's likely, and yeah, I just think it's a good shout. And again, Leeds up against Leicester, two teams who I correctly predicted the exact score of last week, with Fulham losing Leeds losing 2-1 to Fulham and Leicester beating, who was it, 2-1? Beating Wolves 2-1. So again, pretty good feel for these two teams. And basically, I think this is going to be a draw. I think Leicester are going to be able to get a point here. Leeds not looking great. Leicester could definitely win this one, make no mistake, but Leeds are just as in need of points as Leicester are, so they'll want to try and keep Leicester at bay, and I think they'd be happy with the draw. I don't know what's happened there. I've just shot to the top. I think Leeds would be relatively happy with the draw because I think Leicester are definitely capable of beating Leeds. But I'm going to go 2-2. My tip is both teams to score on over 2.5 goals, though at 2. That allows for a 2-1 win either way, which is something that I think could be very likely also. Next up is Nottingham Forest up against Brighton. Brighton unlucky not to progress to the final of the FA Cup, in my opinion. In the end, it was just a Solly March penalty in the shootout that saw them go out to Man United after a 0-0 where they had the share of chances. I think they did enough to win 1-0, I think, but couldn't quite do it. Nottingham Forest, a good account of themselves, 3-2 loss against Liverpool, which is much better than I thought they would do. I thought they'd get absolutely destroyed. But Forest against Brighton, I think, are going to get the better of them here, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win, and my tip is over 2.5 goals at 1.72. Could be 2-2 even, could be 2-1 to Forest, but I just think 3 or more goals in Brighton games. I mean, Brighton have had some high-scoring games. They got 2-1 Chelsea, 2-1 Tottenham, 2-0 Bournemouth. That was outrageous. That wasn't over 2.5. 3-3 Brentford. So the last few have been high-scoring. The Palace one was low-scoring, but Leeds was 2-2. West Ham was 4-0. So very high-scoring games. Brighton, very positive team. They look silky, and I think they are going to get a high-scoring win in this one. After this one, Chelsea up against Brentford. Brentford winless in quite a few fixtures. Chelsea winless in quite a few fixtures. This is the time for Frank Lampard to get his team a win. They're going to get a 1-0 win. My tip is Chelsea to win here at 1.67. I think Chelsea will have too much for Brentford, who got a very good result against an in-form Aston Villa side. I just think Chelsea have got to win at some point. I think this is the time. West Ham showing that they were never really in a relegation battle with the quality of players that they have, doing well in the Conference League, and pretty basically safe from relegation in the league. A game in hand against Liverpool. I don't think they're going to win. Liverpool have got to try and win every game from this point. I think they will do just about enough to beat West Ham. I'm going to go 2-1. My tip is Liverpool to win and both teams to score at 3.5. You know, that goes from 1.85 to 3.5. I think that's pretty good. The big one, Man City up against Arsenal. Arsenal 2-2 against Liverpool. Fair enough. 2-2 against West Ham. That's not good. 3-3 against Southampton, and lucky that just disgraceful. I've been saying it since here that I don't think Arsenal would win the league. I've been saying it all season. I hope they would, but now it's been in Man City's hands for a couple of weeks, but now it's fully out of Arsenal's hands, in the sense that even if Arsenal beat Man City, it's still in Man City's hands because they'll have 2 games in hand and they'll be 5 points behind. So Arsenal need to beat Man City, win all of their games, and hope Man City drop points elsewhere to win the league. So it's not looking good. I think Man City are just, they've just come good at the perfect time. If Arsenal could have played them back in October when they should have done, then I think Arsenal could have won. But I'm going to go 2-0 to Manchester City. My tip is Man City -1 handicap at 2.4. They're too good. They're the best team in the world, and maybe I'm just saying this in the hopes that my prediction is wrong and Arsenal win the game, but Man City I think are too good, and I'm going for a rare blank for Arsenal because Arsenal don't not score. They scored 4 there, 4 there, 3 there, 3 there, and then 2, 2, 3 here. So they're scoring at least 2 goals a game. So maybe I say, you know what, let's just go 3-1. Let's give Arsenal a goal but keep the handicap. I think Man City are going to win, so we'll go 3-1. After that, it's Everton up against Newcastle. I think Everton are going to score at home, but how do you look past Newcastle? Phenomenal performance at St. James's Park against Tottenham Hotspur. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant from start to finish. They're looking to cement their place into the top 4 now. 6 points clear of Tottenham with a game in hand, so it's looking likely. A win here would just about seal it, you would reckon. I'm going to go for Newcastle to win at 1.8. I think the odds are really good. I think Everton are struggling this season, as you can see here, and they just can't get a win. I think Newcastle will get the job done. After this one, Southampton against Bournemouth. Very difficult to predict. I was very close to predicting a Southampton win, but Bournemouth, they're not getting draws. They're winning, they're losing, they're winning, they're losing. I think they might get a draw this time, and a draw for Bournemouth at this stage, every point is valuable. They've got the couple of wins they needed there against Leicester and Tottenham. Phenomenal results. They've got the wins they needed to cut themselves adrift of the relegation, and I think they'd be happy with the point. So I'm going to go 1-1. Southampton should win this game, but they've just been poor all season. So I think Southampton are likely the winners. So my tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.75 to make sure that we have both sort of outcomes accounted for. After that, Tottenham up against Manchester United. Big game. Tottenham, their season's over. They're not going to get a UCL spot. I reckon Liverpool will probably finish above them, because if Liverpool win by, let's say Liverpool do win by 2 goals against West Ham, they'd have played the same amount of games as Tottenham and be on the same goal difference, the same points. So, actually, I don't think there is goal difference here. I thought that was that's just the loss. I don't know. They'd be on the same points regardless. It doesn't matter about goal difference. And you'd expect Liverpool to get more points than Tottenham in the remaining 6 games. You just would. So I think Tottenham are going to lose, actually, to Manchester United, who also want to secure their top 4. I'm going to go 2-1, but my tip is both teams to score at 1.53 because, again, it's not something I'm certain of that Man United get the win. Tottenham are just difficult to call. You think they're going to beat Bournemouth easily, they get beaten. You think they're going to hold their own at the very least against Newcastle, they get destroyed. So I'm going for Man United just to edge it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So a decisive week in the Premier League, things taking shape. Chelsea finally getting a win, Villa continuing their good form, Bournemouth getting a point against Southampton, Tottenham losing, but the big one, of course, Manchester City to put the title race to bed, beating Arsenal 3-1 at the Etihad. Those are my predictions. I think it's going to happen, so let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Drop a like, subscribe, as we're getting very close to 24,000 subscribers, and I will see you in the next video very soon.